I'm in the Madrid airport eating the breakfast of champions. Welcome to Bulgaria. We did it, boys. It is 4 something in the morning. As I was saying, it's 4:45 in the morning. I just got here. I've been traveling for a ridiculous amount of time continuously. I'm going to take a shower, and I am going to sleep all the way until the check-in time. Also, this is a very fancy hotel room. I splurged for the 5-star because it wasn't actually that expensive. I got a king-size bed in Europe. That's crazy, isn't it? Anyway, we're going to pick this up tomorrow when I'm actually functional and cohesive. Good morning from Bulgaria. It is almost noon. I slept a lot and I'm still very tired. Our first stop of the day, get to the grocery store. Get our beautiful rental car. It's not obvious that it's a rental whatsoever. It's perfect. Citroen C3 Cactus, 3 cylinders. The shifter is maybe the worst shifter I have ever encountered, and I mean that in an endearing way. It's like moving a spoon through a pot of gravy instead of anything precise whatsoever. It's a little 3-cylinder. It's gasoline, but it only revs to 5,500. Yeah, it's a car. It's even got the little pattern on the inside. Yeah, clutch engagement's weird. And I'm sure it's real slow. I haven't tried. A Fantastico grocery store. So it's got a great logo. The 11-liter jugs of water are crazy. Horse jerky. I got 2 of the 11-liter jugs of water. I bought a bag. That's for a pan company. I got some bananas, some coconut, which I'm very excited for. Some pretzels, shampoo, all that. You know I had to get the horse meat jerky, so we'll have a little review of all this stuff as I go. This is the beef one. Yeah, I got 5 different flavors of Monster, so this is today's. This is how you spell Fantastico, which I lots of old block housing, but I mean, you'd have guessed that. A little bit of a drive next, so I decided to stop and say hello to my good friend, the Colonel. All right, back in the Citroen. The KFC was mediocre, it was fine. And now we have a 3-hour drive to get to a megalithic observatory from the old-timey times. Now, interesting fact, that is not in Bulgaria. So we're actually leaving Bulgaria right now and starting the name of this video, the North Macedonia road trip. So let's go. The capital of North Macedonia. It's called Skopje, and I had to open the trunk no less than 3 times, and I had to get out of the car 4 times and have several conversations, but I got a little stamp in my passport, which apparently is optional for North Macedonia, but we're also in North Macedonia now, so that's exciting. The coconut is amazing. It's so tasty. 3-hour drive. We have made it to the 4,000-year-old megalithic observatory. There's a steep hill that I'm walking up. I maybe could have driven on it. I don't know. I feel like I drove too far in. Anyway, yeah, it's a little bit of a walk to get up there. But thankfully, the weather has turned and is now very nice. The scenery's pretty good too. I don't know how to say it. It's Kokino? Maybe? At the very top, they know this is an observatory because it's carved out and there's benches, and they used it to mark a calendar tracking the moon cycle for a total of 19 years. After it was an observatory, on some of the lower areas, it was used for some Bronze Age era rituals. The view is even better from the top. So right there is one of our platforms that was used for observatory reasons. Over there, there's another one. I believe that's the 3rd one, or maybe it's down there. This is pretty cool. It's also cool that I'm just the only one out here, because it is actually a Saturday afternoon. You'd think someone else would decide to join me, but nope. Anecdotal story. I thought I checked that North Macedonia and Bulgaria were both included in the Europe eSIM that I bought. North Macedonia is not, so I don't have cell service. So I actually don't know where my hotel is. I mean, like, I know where it is. It's in Skopje, I think is the name. But, like, where? I don't know. So that could be a fun thing to do later. But views are good. That's all that matters right now. A little notch into the highest point so that on the last day of July, the sun would rise and shine straight through there onto that, quote, throne, which is where, like, the chief of whatever the group of people this would sit. This platform C, where they tracked the moon in the winter, and that says the moon markers. But admittedly, I don't really see any intentional cuts in the rocks. I'm not really sure where the other two platforms are. They aren't marked, but I made it down here. And the views are still cool, so I'll take it. I started heading towards the city because I kind of know how to do that. And I just got to a gas station that had a little sign on its little sign that said that it had Wi-Fi. But then I opened the door with the keys in the ignition and I heard this noise, and it's amazing. So I'm a little stumped. My hotel said it had parking, but I couldn't figure out how to get on any of the roads to get to the hotel. So I went to a paid parking garage, but I have to come get my car before 11. It's one of the funny automated ones that's got an elevator. You just kind of put your car in the elevator and then it goes and shuffles it wherever. This hotel is the Art Hotel. And let me tell you, the art is, it's something. Car at a different parking garage now. Yay! So this one is like $1 per hour. So it's gonna cost me like $12 to park overnight. It should be free, and there's free street parking. But because it's Easter weekend, because Russian Orthodox Easter, it's all free. Also, check this out. Good morning. It's like 5:45 in the morning. Sunrise and sunset here are so late. It's great. Headed to the car, and we're gonna go for a hike before anything else opens. Unfortunately, there's no restaurants open either, so I'm hungry. But I got bananas in the car, so I'll eat those. I don't know what it is.
Head toward Nikola Kluziv.
Giant Coca-Cola sign on the building, but it looks
In 100 meters, turn left onto Vasil Iljowski.
I believe I'm here at the parking lot of the Canyon Matka. I'm eating a banana. I'm gonna get some water, and we got like a little 6-mile hike, so should be pretty cool. Still eating my banana, and look at who shows up. All right, starting my hike. Oh, there's a sign. It says, second company offers you boat tour and kayaking inside cave. The canyon is very pretty. Very green. Nice. I can't believe how much snow is still here and how cold it's been. It's only like 50 degrees right now, which is perfect sandals weather. That's why I got my socks on. I believe this is one of the most popular hiking areas in the country, given it's 20-ish minutes outside of the big city. Actually, that's not even true. It's probably 5-10 minutes from the outskirts. It's 20 minutes from where I stayed. And that everything that I read online was like, you gotta go do this hike. So hopefully it lives up to the hype. Oy. Hey, that's a hole. Oh my goodness. Anyway, like I was going to say, damn. Looks like it might just be bypassed. Also, the water's going, it looks like it's going a different way. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Interesting. The dam is pretty damning. Get it? Because there's water behind it. That might be a better angle. The pathway by the cave is, or by the dam is kind of cool. The trail is actually ridiculous. I love it. wonder if it's going to be paved for the entire 3 miles out. That could be problematic. Well, we're trapped here right now. I called or texted the phone number on the door, so we'll see if they text me back. It says it opens at 8. It's only 7:05. I don't really want to hang here for like an hour, but I do want to keep going because it looks a little monastery. Ooh, it's $10 to do a boat trip to the cave. Now that might be worth it. That might make more sense than the kayak. Hi, cat. Wonder how you say cat in Macedonian. The trail has become more of an actual trail now. I'm a little disappointed by the amount of trash that's on it, though. I feel like the North Macedonian people should know better at this point. The bugs are getting slightly out of hand. Reached the end of the path. It looks like it kept going at one point. There's something interesting going on right there. And there is the cave. I don't believe there's any way for me to get over to it without a very long swim that I don't really want to do. I'm gonna look at pictures of the cave and see if I actually want to go, rather than, because there's some museums and things that I want to do in Skopje, rather than spending all day here in this man-made gorge, even though it is very pretty and I am enjoying myself. Update, I looked up photos. Nothing particularly special about it. Nothing that I haven't seen in any other cave in my life, so we're gonna skip that. The views are a lot better on the way back, dang. And I thought they were pretty good on the way out. For our next stop, we're at the Skopje aqueduct. There's a few of them floating around. This one was built in the year 500 by the Ottoman Empire. Because the Ottoman Empire was here, it explains a lot of the mosques and things around. However, unfortunately, this is becoming a theme. This is also a great spot to just dump your garbage, apparently. I kind of thought this would be more of a touristy thing, to be completely honest. It's like down a dirt road. Also, whatever that is up there looks pretty cool. Also, there's snow-capped mountains in the background, which is crazy, because, you know, in my head, there's no snow here because there was no snow at home. Therefore, I wanted to drive under the aqueduct because that was an option. So, wow, more garbage on the other side. Wow.
Head
Oh, wow,
south.
there's a lot more aqueduct down here. That's cool. Parked in the same parking garage next to the hotel, and we've got a 2-minute walk to Mother Teresa's house. So that's exciting. There's a bunch of signs that say it's closed for cleaning from those times. And it says, oh, Sunday 4/12 closed. That's today. Damn it. Well, I guess we're not going to Mother Teresa's house. This is unfortunate. I could go tomorrow. Oh, there it is. There's the whole thing. There's a cool church right there. Maybe we'll try to go into the church. We got a statue of Mother Teresa, at least. We got that going for us. And another one. Next stop is the National Museum. Hopefully that's open. I didn't actually intend on going. I just drove by it and thought the building looked cool yesterday, and I looked it up. Dang it. This is slowly turning into a walk around the city with not many stops inside of it. The only issue is today was supposed to be my only full day in this city. So I think in a couple days I might loop back here because I don't think it'll be that much of a detour before I go. There's a reasonably small statue to Alexander the Great. So that's pretty cool. Something Ottoman or something. They got a Popeyes here. next to the statue. There's a neat bridge and another neat bridge. The one looks like a pirate ship. The bridge is 600 years old. During the Ottoman Empire, it was reconstructed because there was one here before that, but I guess it fell down. Another thing not on my list, the Archaeological Museum, also closed, so that's disappointing. The good news is if I had planned to spend tomorrow here, like most of this stuff is also just closed on Mondays for some reason. So when I loop back later this week, I might have more fun, who knows. This just gives me the vibe of a funny Soviet-era park that nobody cares about anymore. There's a cool old fortress, but it looks in a state of disrepair, I guess. Would be the nice way to put it. I just kind of forgot about it. There's a mosque over there. I would have gone to check that out because I know that would be open today, but left my pants in the car. The fortress is actually open. We're in it, boys. I don't know if there's anything to do, but we're in it. I looked that up because I was curious. A little bit of backstory on the fortress. So it was built by the Byzantine Emperor Justinian I in the 6th century. So it's, 1,500 years old now. And then it was expanded upon in the 10th and 11th centuries, but nobody really knows why it was built. There's just some like medieval documentation that was found describing its appearance, and that's about it. So this was also, prior to the fortress being built, this was a Roman town, and then after that it was the capital city of the First Bulgarian Empire. So now it's like the Opera House over there. It's weird to me how it's in disrepair. And like all the little structures and stuff that they had built here are all falling apart. I wonder what the deal is. I have some more backstory on this building. So it turns out, 2011, they were reconstructing an old church that was found here. However, the ethnic Albanians argue that there was a different structure built there first before the church, and that should be built instead. They got into a giant fight. There were protests and people. It sounds like, and I can't find any documentation of this, that in 2011, whenever this happened, they just said, forget the whole thing. And now it's effectively been abandoned for 15 years. There were tons of archaeological excavations that happened over time here. They found the largest ever stash of Byzantine coins, as well as artifacts dating all the way back to 3000 BC. So that's pretty cool. That church was supposed to be a museum, so that's a little disappointing. My next stop was supposed to be the monument to Skopje's liberators, but it's closed and looks abandoned. Interesting. Macedonian Opera and Ballet House. I was very wrong. This is the post office. This is the National Opera and Ballet. It's not that exciting looking. It looks way cooler in the pictures. Peppers. The restaurant's pretty good. Feels like it was way more expensive than it should have been. It was like $23, $24, which feels kind of crazy, but I don't know. It's the first real restaurant I've eaten at, because I just skipped dinner last night and then couldn't find breakfast this morning, so I had like a package of nuts. I was wrong about the road being open, but I did take the cable car, which cost a grand total of $2 to come up to the top. The line to get back on the cable car, slightly problematic, but cross that bridge when we come to it. I'll admit, I thought today's activities would take longer. It's 2:30, so I'm gonna go do some stuff that I was planning on doing on Wednesday, today. So maybe I can squeeze back into the capital to do the stuff I missed this morning. So who knows? Extra driving. Seems to be a similar theme. We've got garbage, we've got relatively pretty mountains, and then we've got bad information on Google Maps, because guess what? I drove an hour, spent like $5 on tolls, and it's closed. Walked up the hill, trying to get a better view, but not much. There's an old church over there. which is cool, but like, what's throwing me off is it doesn't really feel like this is close because of Easter. It like kind of feels abandoned. But Google Maps says it's as busy as it gets. Those guys are having a great time down there. But I'm curious if maybe there's another entrance somewhere. There are people inside. There has to be an entrance down there somewhere. Good news, found the real entrance. It was, in fact, just down the road by that church. Again, we run into the weirdness of these sites just being completely abandoned. Like, somebody's obviously taking some sort of care of this, but there's no fees, no workers, and there's just a gate that's allegedly open 24/7. It's very strange. Well, there's the gate. This was a bathhouse thing. It feels weird to me that this place is like almost abandoned in a sense, where like they just don't care who comes or goes and when. But like they cared recently enough to where all these lights are like LEDs and stuff, so it has to have just gotten like ignored within the past 10 years. So this is inside of an old basilica. Apparently there is a mosaic, but it seems like it might be buried under sand now. This was the baptistry, which I'll get a better angle of that from the top down. It looks like they facaded everything with marble at some point, but then all the marble's gone now. I really wish I could see the mosaic. That would be cool. With a better view, as promised. The church in the background, and the mountains in the background of the background. This little thing, it's kind of hard to tell, but there's a circle formation of rocks under there. That's the blacksmith's furnace, or as the sign called it, a stove for metal. We're coming up on the stove for glass, which seems like there was preservation efforts. It's pretty cool. I almost want to come here at night to see if all these lights light everything up. That'd be cool. Imagine just being out here at 3 o'clock in the morning to go into an archaeological site. This was the winery. I had to go back and double check, but this is the things where they put all the grapes inside of it and they just stomp on it and then the grape juice comes out there and then they take it to go get fermented. Neat. Seems to be a little storeroom with all sorts of old vessels. This is where we store our unwanted columns. We want this one though. This is pretty cool. I wish I had a little bit more information about it than what I've given you. Maybe I'll pull up a Wikipedia page or something and see if I can find some extra. This little bit is where the bishop would have lived. Seems like a nice place, other than the roof fell down. Looked it up. So this was originally built in 371 AD, but it reached its peak during the same emperor Justinian, like the fort in the city, during around 500 AD. It was a 5-hectare Christian town where they did lots of trading and things, and it was the article that I was reading was talking about all the cool stuff in the church, like all these marble lion head sculptures and things, but it seems like they've all been removed, whether intentionally for restoration or nefariously by ne'er-do-wells, nobody will know. But so the translation on these signs is really bad, as was the article that I was reading. So my understanding is this is the lower level of a bathroom, like with a bathtub, and they'd like burn stuff, and then there'd be a copper thing in the floor above that you'd actually take your bath in. But this one was sized specifically for one person. So this one's the large bath, which has several interconnected rooms, such as a sauna, dressing rooms, cold baths, hot baths. I'm not gonna pretend like I understand how the functionality of any of it actually all comes together, but we'll take a little peek around. Oh, these look like baths to me. Yeah, and they've got the old style, like, Roman thing going on where they built them up with bricks. And they'd have hot air circulating underneath to heat the baths and all that. How cool. There's a good view of the bathhouse. And the church. And the new church. in the Citroen C3 rental car. The article I read had something about saying there was an inscription at the main gate as well, but I just don't see it. I'm not seeing all the cool details that were pointed out in the thing that I was reading as to why this site is so cool, which is kind of a shame. So, when I said new church, I was correct, technically. But this new church is 1,100 years old and is the oldest preserved medieval church in the country. Oh my god, it's one of the cars with the sliding doors. It has sliding front doors. I'm gonna butcher the name, I know it, but this is the town of Velis. And the reason why we're here is for this. This is a World War II soldiers monument, and it looked really cool online. We'll see if it looks cool in person. There's an inside. It looks empty other than that one statue. That's a cool picture right there. Oh, not quite sure this was worth the drive, but I was gonna do it anyway, so. I don't know what any of these things mean. This is a nice touch. The stairs that lead nowhere. I don't really want to walk up on top of it or any of that nonsense, so I guess that's it. I'm a little underwhelmed. That's a good angle. Again, this is another one of those, like, this looked so nice at some point. It was built in 1979, made of concrete. It depicts a poppy opening, symbolizing something new, or a cracked helmet. And now it's in desperate need of a power wash. Good morning. For our first stop today, we're going to the colorful mosque. So this mosque was originally built in the 1400s. However, this version of it was rebuilt in the 1800s for whatever reason. Unfortunately for me, the internet saying this was open 24/7 was a bit of a lie. However, it's really cool to look at the outside, so I'll take what I can get. And I'm gonna look really quick when I get back to the car when it actually opens, because maybe I'll hang out for a few minutes if it's not too long. Unfortunately, it looks like you can't get in until about 8 o'clock in the morning. It's currently 6, so I don't really want to sit here for 2 hours. Maybe next time. I have a few things to say. 1, the lake with the snowy mountains in the background, amazing. 2, this is the most unhinged place to put a billboard. And then 3, the billboards next to the Communist Monument is, I mean, it all just ties together in interesting ways, doesn't it? So I'm at this monastery, right, in the middle of nowhere, Macedonia, and are those Missouri license plates? So I'm here at this monastery in these mountains, and it's called, and I'm just going to give you the English name because I'm not going to try. It's the Monastery of St. John the Baptist. But the primary reason I've chosen to come to this one specifically is because they apparently have his arm, and I think that's very interesting and a little bit weird. But it's also interesting that there's a giant mosque here. I learned relatively recently that 60% of the country is, or 64% of the country is Orthodox, and 32% of the country practices Islam. So I have no idea if this gate's going to be open or not. We're about to find out. The gate was incredibly hard to push open, but it was open. was driving to my next stop, which was a bit of a drive. It's like 2 hours. And I passed this sign that says Ataturk Memorial House. And I go, hold up, wait a second. So then I stopped on the side of the road, did a quick Google. And turns out this is where Ataturk, the founder of modern day Turkey, his grandparents lived. And they have a little house, memorial house for him. And I looked it up. It's got really good reviews and it looks pretty cool. So guess where I'm going. But oh my goodness, is this road just tiny, and we're on it for a while. I'm here like 10 minutes early, but that's Ataturk's grandparents' house. It is in the middle of nowhere. That looks like a really nice house though. The gate that was closed had a person-sized door. I was just hanging out. I could have been down here this whole time. Man, I gotta get better about this. I just checked the Facebook page for this instead of Google Maps page. And it's not open at 9. It's actually open at 10. But tomorrow, not today. So this is just closed. So I just drove here to look at the outside of the house, I guess. Disappointing. I mean, there's a good backdrop, so at least I got some cool views out of it, right? And on our next calamity, there's no doorknob. Cool. I guess I'm climbing this wall. So I drove to a fort. Happening plates. We got Bulgarian plates, Italian plates, and our favorite, the German plates. Everybody and their mom's here apparently. I see the fortress. It's like a dang hike to get there though. You can also see the lake. Lake Ohrid. You can see the lake better now. So the fortress inside, common theme, closed today. But the fortress itself dates all the way back to almost 200 BC. But it's been destroyed and rebuilt a bunch of times. A few things to do in this little spot. So after the fortress, there's a little archaeological site and some old churches and things. I don't have anywhere to put them anymore. But I got my magnet. I don't know where it's gonna go, but I got it. It was $1. The archaeological site also appears to be mildly closed for entrance, so we're missing a lot on this trip. Let me tell you. Jeez Louise. Here's some words. I might translate them. I believe it's time to walk to the next church, which is actually just down the hill. This lake has a bunch of very old, interesting churches on it. This church is from the 13th century. And I have to duck to go through the gate. It was pretty cool in there. You're not allowed to bring cameras inside, so sorry.
You don't have to go there.
I've made it down to the water. Walking on this feels like the sketchiest thing I've done on this trip so far. It's so rickety wood. This is our biggest church so far, and our final one in this little area. I think this is the car show equivalent of putting a model car on the dashboard of your car, but instead it's a church. This is my toy church, and this is my real church. Also, I didn't mention, this is the Church of St. Sophia. That one was by far the coolest one. Originally, it was built in year 500, and then it was rebuilt in 1000 AD. It's an old handmade paper factory. You've got little fine grains of wood and vodka in there, and they dip the screen in it, and they transfer it to a sheet, press the water out, let it dry, flatten it, and they can print on it. And they do. And all these things. How neat. That's a new one on this trip's bingo card. Dutch plates. Ooh, Fiat 600. Despite my disdain, I still kind of love these things. Oh, that's a communist one. Oh, how interesting. So after a short drive, like a half hour, we're pretty much at the other side of the lake at a monastery. I had to break down and get cash because they only took cash to park. It was only $2, so naturally I had to take out like 40 from the ATM. These trees are cool. That's all. There's a peacock. There's a peacock on the roof. Another one. This one says no videos. The other one didn't, so I have no idea what that says. It says Ministry of Defense of Macedonia. Auto camp. Delicious food at reasonable prices. I want to know more about this. It's so weird. They're all the same and all completely abandoned next to all these churches and things. So that actually was and currently is a military camp. Go figure. They have a restaurant on the beach. Can't go to it. It's all closed. And it kind of makes sense because we're on the border of another country. So the goal is, after we leave here, to climb that mountain. You can drive most of the way up it. It's like 2,000 gain once you get to the trailhead. But Google Maps is telling me that the road is closed. So that might not bode well. It's a cool looking mountain. I got this. It was kind of expensive, but I need to go fast. I'm really tired. On account of, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, new national park, Gallica, Citron. That's where my mountain is. The road looks open. I don't know what those signs say. I'm gonna look at them really quick, but we'll see. As I make my way up the road, I'm less optimistic about being able to do the hike, but also, holy crap, look at how high up we are. That's crazy. I think this road is gained like 4,000-ish feet. I don't know what the elevation of the lake is. I gotta look that up in a minute. But we're at 5,200 right now. It is a good road though. Let me tell you. The views are great. We got other people. If only I had a Miata. Actually, well, yeah, the top down would be great. It's not the greatest driving road. It's filled with potholes and way too narrow, but top down would make this enhanced. Also, it got really cold. It was like 20 down at the lake. I'm in shorts and a t-shirt right now. Not gonna lie, sitting in the parking lot, having had the intent to climb that, I think it's that mountain. It could be that one. That's a lot of snow. I don't know about that. I might just get out and go for a little walk. I don't even think I'm going to make it that far because this is all snow and it's way too warm, which means it's just going to be a post-holy mess. And if anything, this feels like an early day activity, not an end of the day activity. And it is, well, it's 3 o'clock, but it's not the, you know what. I'm also a little worried about the amount of caffeine that was in that coffee thing because I went from tired to wired real quick. Let me tell you, I have decided I don't actually even want to try because I think I'd rather just get a good night's sleep rather than 300 feet away from the car attempt at a summit. But one thing that's interesting is that we're only at 5,200 feet. The snow line's crazy low for April 13th. While I was sitting there, 2 other groups of people showed up and they just started walking. And I think, now looking at it, you can get a really cool view of the lake. So I'm just gonna go for that little walk and see what we can do. I walked up to just past the hut. It is a slushy mess. So, it was early morning. Might be doable. But also, with this much snow down this low, we've got some good views. Welcome to Bitola. our home for the next couple of hours. We're staying in a fancy little B&B place that's above a cake shop, which is not good for dieting, but we'll see how it goes. This is the funniest scenario. I've never had to go into a cake shop to get my hotel room key. It kind of gives me London or England pub vibes. I'm in room number 4. Not 2, not 1, but 4. Oh. Oh. Well, here's the room. The door lock took an incredible amount of fiddling, but yeah. I was gonna give you the whole like first impression, but oh, okay. Little dark shower action, I guess. It's me. I'm the problem. Wow. No more dark showers. I asked for recommendations for restaurants, and they were all pizza places, so getting pizza. I don't normally like mushrooms, but everything on the menu came with it, so when in Rome. Good morning. Brand new day. Just leaving the hotel. A little bit of a late start today because our first stop doesn't open until 7. It's nice to sleep in. I slept for like 11 hours. Okay, so fun fact about the Citroen C3. So you can have it in gear and start it. Now, I had been starting it in neutral without pushing the clutch in, but you can do that with it in first or reverse or anything. So I just got jump scared so bad. Good times. So 4 minutes down the road, car didn't even warm up. We're at Herculealistenses. And yeah, looks pretty neat. It's really windy outside and cold, so this should be fun. Sad. Missed it by 16 days. Yeah. Feels like the story of this trip, honestly. So this is an old Roman town. This is the Thermine, which is like the bathhouse, because that's the first thing that they always built. They date this back to either the 3rd or the 4th century. So she's pretty old. Yeah, it's pretty cool so far. There's a lot more here than I thought there was, so I'm more impressed by this archaeological site than I have been at any other one in this country, and I just got here. It also has audio guides to tell you about everything, which is amazing. This area is the portico, which used to have lots of cool statues inside of it, but now only has the one, and a good chunk of them are in the British History Museum. I need to go. Also, this could just be the most indescript garbage can I've ever seen in my entire life. I love it. This is the old basilica. Unfortunately, no mosaic for us. This is the Great Basilica. All of this is mosaics, which is so unfortunate that we can't see. This was the city fountain. It's pretty cool. Wish we could see the mosaic. It has a big inscription on it, and it says, "On the 35th year of our reign of the most pious master Flavius Justinian I, in a time of the most holy and blessed Bishop of John, the city fountain was made in the month of September on the 10th day, the 10th." There's a whole lot to unpack about this theater. So it was originally built in the 2nd century for plays and that type of thing, you know, fun stuff. There was an emperor that was real into like theater, so as he toured around the, I want to say country, but that's not necessarily the right word, the empire, they just built theaters in his wake to help with, you know, spreading culture and all that. And that was great. They used it like that for like 100 years. And then it was, they put animals in here and had like little mini gladiator battles, and they used to have like giant nets everywhere to protect the spectators. And then they decided to, there was a ban on animals there was a ban on shedding human blood in public places. So they just decided to fill this all in and actually build houses on top of it. during the like 5th and 6th centuries. And I don't know what time this went. At one point, they would throw Christians into the middle and have them be devoured by animals as martyrs, which was very interesting. Also a cool view from above of everything from within the theater. So, big church, little church, Episcopal house, the fountain. Yeah, that's pretty neat. Oh, under the big church, there actually used to be a forum before they built it, which is kind of cool. We have museum. There's a ton of little lamps that date from the 4th to the 2nd century BC, which is cool. And those are coins, also mostly from the BC times. So this is Basilica E. It's the most recent of the 3 that's here. Unfortunately, a ton of it was damaged during World War I when they were digging up when they were doing the archaeology here. They found like a bunch of shells and things inside of it, which is kind of sad. So here was the gymnasium, and they actually found a ton of history on this in other places, including a statue made for the, quote, son of the city, which is the guy who decided to build this gymnasium with his own funds after the city had been attacked in a serious way. They built this rampart with a tower here during the 3rd century, which is pretty cool. The whole thing's pretty cool. Cool historic site. Thank you, Macedonia. I wish you removed the gravel a little earlier so I could see the mosaics, but you know, I'll take what I can get. For our next stop, we got a little bit of over an hour drive to get to a monument called the Ildian. I don't know what it is. Apparently it's the most significant monument in the country. So, and I knew about this for whatever reason before we even started planning this trip. So let's go. Just cruising down this mountain pass, and I saw this bench. Now I had to make a U-turn because this view is actually crazy. Especially with the clouds. Oh my goodness. I should have taken a video. Google Maps has routed me through some tiny little streets in this random little mountain town. Also, the amount of Lada Neveras that I've been seeing, so high. And they're so cool. So you'll never guess. The inside of the monument is closed. Granted, I have no idea what's inside of the monument. So I don't really know what I'm missing. It's certainly cool looking. It's a lot bigger in real life than it was in my head. Okay, so a little bit of research on my part. So, this is to celebrate the liberation during the Lydian Uprising. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. That happened in 1903. It was built in 1975 and also celebrates the victory in World War II by the Yugoslav Communist Party. Inside is a crypt of a man who was very important in this specific region, and then the little like thing sticking out of the wall, that is a tomb. The colorful thing's just an amphitheater, and then the two like chain looking things that were broken right at the entrance are symbolizing breaking the chains of fascism. Inside is relatively empty with the cool stained glass on 4 corners and then the windows looking out the other sides. It's really cool. It's kind of a shame that I can't go inside. There's a little memorial building for a man named Todor Perovsky. So let's go learn about him, hopefully, unless it's closed. So that one was a weird one. They were very adamant about no pictures or videos inside. It was an entire memorial building for a singer that everyone was adamant that is the best singer to ever come out of Macedonia. He died 10 years ago in a car accident, and they built this. The government built this entire building for him, which is kind of crazy. I'm gonna go listen to some of his music in the car, and I'll give you my my professional opinion on it. But yeah, I don't know. That not what I thought. Apparently, he's also buried in that memorial over there. Like, they're real into this guy. It's kind of crazy. I found another one. What are the odds? That was the first. For our next stop, we're going to the Ossuary Memorial of Fallen Fighters, and it's for the 350 or so people that died around this area during World War II, fighting against the Germans. One of the recent Google reviews talked about how much of a shame it was that everything was covered in graffiti here. And it kind of looks like they're actually trying to clean this one up, which I'm stoked on. Love to see it. The best part is this one is open too. It's got this cool staircase. From up top, we got a good view of the town of Kavadrasi, I hope. And I just wanted to share that I looked up what year this was built. 1975. So if you were in Yugoslavia in the 1970s and you happen to be an architect, it was your time to shine when it came to creating cool monuments. One more cool angle of the monument now that the truck that was washing is gone. So for our next stop, which you could totally see from the highway and probably hear the highway behind me, it's called Strobi. And before I go in, I think I'm going to ditch my sweater. This was the largest Roman city and best preserved in Macedonia. And once again, the trash can game is on point at these sites. So this was the theater. It shared a similar fate as the other one where it eventually went into disrepair. It used to be twice as tall, apparently, because it said there was two sections. There was a lower section of 13 rows of seats and then an upper section of 15 rows of seats. And I counted the rows of seats, which means that half of it's gone. But apparently this area got hit by a lot of earthquakes, and that's part of the reason why they eventually abandoned the city. So this is the basilica. And at one point, they filled in the basilica with fill dirt to make it 15 feet higher, and then built a new one on top of it. So that way it was the tallest building in town. Emperor Constantine in the Roman Empire had a lot of influence on getting Christianity everywhere around here. So yeah, there you go. There's your fun fact. This is the baptistry, and much like the church itself, it was built and then rebuilt and then remodeled at the same time as the rest of the church. That is to baptize infants, fun fact, and we've got cool mosaics with deer and peacocks on them. They used to have cool paintings all over the walls, and there was a domed thing on top. And, little fun fact for you, the Embassy of the United States of America helped with the restoration of this. So this would have been the level of the later basilica. The one we saw down there, that's the original one. And then this would have been the entrance level of this one. And then behind us, this was the main street from the main gates into town. And along here, there was a blacksmith shop, which actually technically wasn't allowed because of the fire risk. They typically, anything that had high heat had to be located outside of the city walls typically. And also there's a drone, presumably for science. This was where the bishops lived, at least for a while. And then eventually they moved somewhere else. And then they used this as a little mini church. And then eventually it just got partitioned off and became houses. Originally, this was thought to be a textile manufacturer because they found these shells that are used to make purple dyes But then in the 1970s, they did more research and found out that they just had the shells in the nearby river and they were eating them, and that was just food. And this was actually just a very fancy person's house. It eventually burned to the ground and during a raid because they found pneumatic weaponry in here. And in the the 5th century, they used the foundation of the original house to build new houses for people to live in. It seems like all the cool buildings slowly just get turned into more houses. They don't really know what this one was. It was either a cellar or a prison. They found some like metal shackle style things, but they're not sure what they were. They hope to, in the future, keep doing more archaeology to find out what it actually is. This is a cool site so far. This is the Theodosian Palace, and it was named that because Emperor Theodos stayed here during his visit in the late 300s. But some fun facts about this house. They actually found a ton of sculptures and various other artifacts, and it was determined that whoever owned the house was a collector of art because these came from all over the world. Some were bronze and marble, and it had this courtyard with a giant fountain in it. Whoever was living here was living large. I misspoke when I said the other guy was living large. These people were living large. They had the nicest house in town. I guess these are the typical residences, it said. So I'm assuming that your average commoner didn't really live within the walls of the city. They also had a nice courtyard with a fountain. I mean, I'm getting inspired. Maybe I need to build a courtyard with a fountain and change my name to something Romanesque. This is one of the baths. This is a large Roman bath, and it has all your normal stuff, the hot water, the warm water, and the cold water. But more importantly, this is the changing room, this front area here, right? And I learned something, okay? So you've got these benches. You actually used the little square holes in the bottom to store your shoes and clothes because this was a changing room. The more you know. I'm sure I've seen these square holes before in other Roman baths, but I never knew that little fun fact. This was the city fountain where you could come and get water. They had it fed from a spring on a nearby mountain through underground aqueducts, and I was real impressed. Right until they said they also used lead pipes, and I went, oh yeah, okay, that sounds about right. Now this one, also a new thing for me here. This was a synagogue because there was a Jewish community that lived in this town during the Roman times, and it's assumed that they actually got here before the Romans did. It looks like I was a tiny bit off. This one was the synagogue. So whoever owned that house donated a chunk of it to be this. And below the altar at the front, there's a crypt for storing secret stuff. Also, a fun fact, just so we're clear, that was a synagogue. At some point, it was also a Christian church. This one was a basilica, but they didn't find any religious symbols in it, which was kind of weird. And then this one, believe it or not, basilica. So they were just churching it up in town, I guess. Reminds me of Utah a little bit, actually. This was the most recent of the churches, and interestingly, the marble that they used in this church came from the stairs of the Colosseum after that was disbanded. There were 6 churches active at one time here, and apparently the reason why is because everybody converted to Christianity, so they actually just didn't have enough space. So they just kept building more churches. This was the smaller bath. They found jewelry here, so they call it the women's bath. And behind it is the synagogue. The library. There's so much to say about the library, apparently. So, this library was knocked down in an earthquake. Well, not knocked down, but kind of semi-destroyed during an earthquake. And then they built this giant structure in the middle, which is a cistern, for storing water. And then they were still using the second floor, which, doesn't exist anymore. And then they built this fortification wall across the back during the 5th century, and they abandoned the building. And then the weirdest part about it is that they found remains of people that were buried inside of here, which is not normal for any town during this era, and they have absolutely no idea why it's happened. This one's pretty cool. It's a temple for the Greek goddess of Isis. There were a few Greek goddesses and gods that were allowed to be worshipped under the Roman Empire, and Isis and, oh my gosh, Serapis, which were supposed to be a divine couple, was the one that they had here. This was built in the 2nd century, so very old. I think the oldest thing that I've seen here. Yeah, it's interesting. Because I accidentally took out too much cash, I was very encouraged to get a souvenir, so I got a cool little oil lantern. How am I going to get it home? Nobody knows, but we're going to figure it out. The little oil lantern in question, it was only like $420, so less than $10. It was like $6 or $7. Like, that's pretty cool for $6 or $7. Dang. Google Maps sucks in this country. I just missed my exit, and when it rerouted me, it saved me 11 minutes on a 20-minute drive. Immediately after recording that last video, it literally had me get off the highway, take the long off-ramp that was built up with traffic, and then immediately merge back on the highway. Google Maps sucks in this country. I'm gonna start trying to use Waze instead, I think, for my last, like, hour here in the History Museum. It's weirdly dark in here. It seems incredibly small, so I'm glad that I made it on this trip, because it'd be a shame if I came all the way back to come see this. I'm now the proud owner of one of those. Lots of pottery. These are cool. These are really cool too. They have the... I need to do something like this with my collection of random foreign currencies that I have. Just have a little display case with just a bunch of random money in it. It's a 5th century BC lamp. They went ahead and covered all of their bases with that. They got the Gospel, the Quran, and the Torah. Got some modern history stuff in here as well. The Macedonian World War II uniform. A little different than the ones we're used to seeing. Most of the areas and floors were closed off, so that was pretty much the whole thing. I went through the whole museum in 20 minutes, so I don't even think it's been that long, actually. We're so back. This church is cool. I might actually go in there and check it out today, because it's not Easter Sunday. Anyway, so now we're leaving the country. I got a 3-hour and 40-minute drive to my Airbnb in Sofia. See you in the next video.